All right, day 3. I'm seeing something interesting here, which is the placement of this chrome. Now, that fender may be a Firebird or it may be a Camaro wrong year, but that's definitely mounted on the bottom side, where these got mounted on the top side. The ones on the other side were put in with screws, and these were put in with pop rivets. So are these the original factory or somebody pop riveted it in? I'm going to take them off because it's going to be impossible to fix those doors without removing them. The other side had screws that made it. It's missing the piece, which really kind of stinks because you know, you'd have that door with missing the piece. But I'm going to just fix it, fill the holes, and decide whether I'm going to install this. But I'd like to get off all that sticky, get that off. So I got some tools to remove this. The other thing that I'm debating is whether to remove those or not and finish the back. I would like to remove it, and if they're easy, I'm going to pop the trunk, see what's holding them on, and try to take those off so I can finish this area. But I bet underneath there has never been touched, so it's probably fine. I want to finish both doors and that quarter. That's my goal, and get it painted black. So definitely got a lot more work around the edges, but I'm not worried about it too much. I got to decide whether I'm taking this chrome off, which is a lot of work, to take the gasket off and then unscrew the chrome and keep up with all the pieces to be able to put them back after you're done painting. So I may not take them off till I'm ready to just pretty much sand and paint, so I can just put them back on. But right now, doors. It took a whole minute or whatever, so multiply that times 60. I'll have this done. It's like 8:10. So I'm not going to sit here and videotape me getting this off, but I'm going to get after it. And I'll let you know how long this door takes. So if you want to do a door, you'll be like, okay, I can handle an hour. All right, here we go. All right, I had to switch to this side because the sunshine is already on that side of the car. So I'm trying to work this shady spot before the sunshine comes up. This is taking 10 minutes, and this is brutal. All this Bondo that's on here. So what you want to not do is overwork this. Just let that do the work itself, because you will burn these Harbor Freight things up pretty quick. So that took 10 minutes. So hopefully this isn't as bad. But my goodness, this is a lot of work. All right, that was 40 minutes, brutal. Still missing a spot, still missing all the edge. So what else? Problem is what to do about this chrome and this chrome. Wow. Well, let me see what to do about the door edge chrome. At least get that off. Gonna definitely be an hour. Okay, this chrome just came off the end real easy, but don't go crazy on these, because I can see the screws holding this window felt in this piece. This is like chrome window felt, and they're screwed into the door frame. I can see one screw, so don't be trying to prop this off. It's not going to pop off. Maybe try to roll the window down and unscrew them, but I don't really think you can get those out without taking the window off. Let me roll the window down and see. All right, so yeah, I rolled the window down. You can't get to those screws unless you take the door apart. So what I might do is build these doors next, because that's pretty important. The way they close, the way they sit on there, they sag. So I could fix the hinges, fix the windows, fix all the stuff that's broke, take that chrome off. And so I'm just gonna do the best I can to get as close as I can to the edge there, and then we'll have to fix that for final painting, or take them off, prime it, paint that area, and then work around that, spray paint it gloss black underneath there, then put the stuff on. Okay, well, we know that's I'm going to keep going on the rest of it. I got that chrome off this section. Hopefully it'll be less than an hour. All right, that's 1 hour. Didn't quite get it done. Sunshine's starting to burn my face. You can see my shadow there. I got this whole quarter done. The main part of the door. I have not done this lower section. So another 30 minutes. Man, hour and a half. Whew, for one door. But I gotta either move this cover or go back to the other side. All right, that was hour and a half to do this entire door. I did the rocker just because there were too many rock chips on it, and then I would have had to been sanding and blending too much. So I don't mind blending the edges and around. Like, I don't think I even want to do the inside of this entire thing. I'll just blend that. But that is all that Bondo off. I'm thinking about maybe even welding those holes instead of trying to fill them with Bondo. Tack weld all those little holes and just eliminate that. I don't know, something to think about. I'm just going to work around the chrome, and then I'll blend sand that when that comes off. I think it's pretty protected under there anyways from being under the chrome. So that looks pretty good. Hour and a half. I'm going to switch to the other side. Hopefully it won't take an hour and a half, but it probably will. And then I'll have to paint it, prime it, and then that will be looking pretty good. That will be moving forward. All right, this door hasn't been as bad because I got some of the paint off. I started with it, so this nearly hasn't taken as long, but I'm actually laying on the ground here and doing this lower quarter, and that's a lot of work, just laying here on the ground and buffing this off. So I got to take a break. I work a little bit of this, then go back to the top. So pretty tough, but at least you get to lay down on the job. All right, it's almost 11 o'clock, almost 3 hours, but those two little rust spots is about the only rust through I see. It's kind of why I bought this car. I was kind of hoping that it wasn't a total rust bucket. When I kind of looked underneath, I didn't see a lot of rust. So there you go. That whole section, I even did this, took off that top layer of paint. So yeah, now I gotta sand this and paint it. It's coming up on 11 o'clock, but I think I'm going to do that trunk lid, and I may do these fenders because they're not as bad as these doors. So I think I could do these fenders pretty quick. So I may hit this area and see how hard it is, and that would get a lot more looking really good. And let me do the same thing with that trunk lid real quick, see how hard it is to get off. All right, each section's been different. This one's brutal. Put Bondo on this whole thing. I see some holes where they tried to fix some stuff, but man, they got some good Bondo. I needed to do that section anyway, so I'm glad I'm doing it. I don't even know if I'll keep this trunk lid, but I've gone this far. I've almost done the whole thing, but man, it's a slow process. It's just slow working these sections off. Takes a long time, a lot of patience. All right, took 4 hours. Did the trunk lid. I still got to sand it. Did the two doors, did this fender. Now this fender's got some blowout, so I don't even know if I'll be able to use this fender, but you know, never know. I mean, I may have to use it. These fenders are expensive, nearly 300 bucks a piece, so I may put some sheet metal here and fix that. I have some fender metal, and if that's the worst case scenario, I may fix that just to try to save some money. So tried to take off as much surface rust off the top of these. That's some primer, so I took off one layer, but this is different. These didn't come with this car, so this has got a different kind of treatment than the other. I'm not necessarily trying to take this down to metal, just trying to get these layers off. So there's that view. 2 fenders, door, trunk lid. Definitely not doing the hood. This hood is a whole rust out. That's the way most of these cars are. That's what they come, and you get them, and whew, that would be horrible. But I have a brand new hood, a hood that's already been worked in good condition. So, and that's the problem when you get these cars. That's what they look like. The whole car looks like that. So this car, I feel like is, yeah, it's got some surface rust, but it hadn't totally blown out yet. So I will come back and sand and prime that. So I don't know if the chemical made it easier to get it off, but this part was the hardest part to do so far. Whatever they put on there, man, that Bondo stuck hard, not like crap Bondo from today. Bondo was rock hard. Well, sanded 10 minutes, that failed. Fortunately, that's the only sander I got out of here to be able to sand with 220. So now I'm going to make a 1-hour trip to go to Harbor Freight. But thank goodness we have Harbor Freight. Alright, I had to quit at 3 o'clock, came back at 6. Sanded this again. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with the doors. What I'm not okay with is these front fenders. They did not take it down far enough to get this other coat off, so it's just doing some weird stuff that's not going to cover. So like this. So either I need to put the paint stripper on this front fender and really strip it down. It's just a waste of primer. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it. With the doors, trunk, I'm going to mix up paint and paint. But this, I hate it because it really needs to continue to be stripped off, both fenders. So I may just get out flat black and just waste a $1 can of the Walmart flat black and spray on that after I'm done spraying the doors. Or I may just use the stuff and then strip it back off, but I think this would be harder to get off. So I'm going to mix up the paint and paint this now that it's 100 degrees, but different, and you can now touch the metal again, which you could not do before. This trunk got so hot, you could have cooked an egg on it. Now it almost feels cool to the touch. So got to get it painted before the sun goes down. All right, that was a race against time. Sunshine's going down. Got this painted. Gonna have to redo this fender anyways. I think I got this as good as I want to get it. Now I can move on to body work, and then we'll prime it again. So next, whatever body work needs done, doing the Bondo such as that. Got the trunk lid pretty good. I think that's pretty good. So had some problems with the crappy gun spilling. So if you ready to paint, don't use the used guns. So that's what that looks like. Way better than it was before. So is what it is. Got like 3 coats on this. So perfectly ready to do the body work and then or whatever else I want to do next. All right, you can really see in this sunlight the difference of doing a good job. And this really needed the paint stripper to strip this off. and the difference between this, where I took it down to the metal, even back here, how good that looks. This part is where the lead is, so this is what it is, and this is where they ground down into the metal, so that's not nothing that I did. This is the rust areas. That's where I got the paint too thick. This is where the dirt from here blasted over into the paint, so that's definitely going to have to come off and get redone. Trunk looks really nice, so I'm pretty much happy with that. But look at how bad this is. Like, definitely going to try to use the stripper on this and strip these off, probably take them off. And look at that rear bumper. Whew. So I got the fins and the bumpers, the front fenders, not the hood, and this front bumper. Front bumper is plastic, but this paint is so thick on here. I don't know what to think about that, whether you can just get a new one. Do I just you know, is that paint on top cracked, or is it the plastic cracked? And that seems pretty flexible still, but I seem to think that that is just the paint cracked. So I could put the paint stripper on there and yeah, might ruin the plastic, but it's not ruining the plastic gel. So if I redid the fenders and the front and back plastic, then this fin, and by the way, the doors, fenders, back trunk, 7 hours, which kind of makes sense if that took 9 hours. 16 hours so far. So if I would finish that, this would be a pretty good prepped car, and then I could start doing body work. All right, this is what we got. It's $50 for this gallon of schlop. So it says put it in a bucket. This is plastic, so I can't do the same thing to that as I did the other one. I can do this part. Gotta get this paint off, but look at this cracked up paint on this plastic. So I'm not sure how it's going to work. I'm not sure how I'm going to scrape it off the plastic, but I don't know what else to do. So I am going to try to take the paint off and go from there. So I'm not sure. Jasco, $50. It worked okay. Let's see how it works on this plastic. All right, I don't know what I was envisioning, but I was envisioning this stuff just falling off. Well, so far I've been painting it on and scraping it off with the razor blade because the spatula don't work, and it's re-drying, so you have to apply it and scrape it off when it's still wet. And in the sunshine, it is re-drying pretty quick. This back, I'm not real happy with it because I thought these cracks were the paint, but this crack is really in the plastic. So I'm not sure what to fix or repair. Look at how horrible that is. Just, I don't know. Just some things are just so stinking hard. I think I'm going to take these off and do them on the ground. May take the lenses out and work these again. But that was one coat, and I'm already sick of it. So I'm just going to cover it back up, say forget it, and I call that step one. All right, weekend 3, 16 hours, starting in the 17th hour. I came out here to feed the horse, did like a 10-minute test. It was so brutally hot, the stuff was melting before drying out the stuff before I could even get it off. So now I can really see the how bad this is. And it's definitely the plastic. I was kind of thinking it was the paint. Many layers of paint. Did not use a buffing wheel or anything on this, just a metal scraper. Kind of funny, you know, you think a tent's gonna do good. Tent don't really do nothing unless if you have the shade where it needs to be. So that's the tent. Kind of comical trying to move a tent with one person with 4 legs. Really need 2 people. So I really kind of went after this pretty good. Slopped that stuff on there real thick, but again, it was so hot. It's so hot right now, I'm starting to sweat. Got to be like 85, almost 90 already. And the sunshine really even hadn't come up, but engine on here looks pretty complete. It has air conditioning. That's one of the reasons why I bought it. The brake master cylinder, I'm looking at it, looks fairly good, and the lines look good, and I see some hoses that look good. And I don't think I've looked at this. This I think is a Harvey car, Harvey flood car. So we're gonna see if it's even got, man, I don't even know if I checked the oil when I bought it. Surely I would have checked the oil, making sure it didn't have water in it when I bought it, but who knows. Gonna put my gloves on and re-thick this on. I need to take these lenses off, see if I can get those off. Wouldn't mind taking this grill out. Got that lifted up so I could work the edge. I was dreaming about taking this rear lens out so I could work that bumper better. I almost don't really see the point. I need to take the fin off to de-paint that, but I don't know how motivated I am today. I'd really like to start working on the tractor back here. So let me paint the stuff on, see how well this will scrape off. It's gonna all have to be sanded off. I don't know what's going on with it. I'm sure some of that chemical's still on there. I feel like just painting another layer of chemical on there. So let me see what I'm dreaming about. All right, this is an hour plus of applying the stuff and scraping it off with a razor blade. This part right here where the license plate is has yet to really take that off. I don't know what's going on with that. So I think I've done this as much as I want to do. It's not really taking off the primer, no matter how long I let it sit on the primer. It's not taking it off. And on the front, this looks like maybe it came from an orange car, was painted orange at one time, multiple layers. Still, it's getting to the primer, so either that color's on top of the primer or under the primer. Not real sure, but I'm moving on to the next step, which would be washing this off with some acetone and start sanding it, because this isn't really going to dry, but I think the acetone will maybe take off some more paint, and that's what I'm going to try, to wipe this down with some acetone. All right, that I believe is the factory black, and this primer's painted on top of it, and then it was repainted. So I've tried to sand through that primer, and that primer just turns to mud. So what I think I'm going to have to do is wet sand it. If you wet sand it, that's going to take that off. Now I have done electrical wet sanding, but very dangerous. Chance of getting electrocuted, being all wet. So let me see what some wet sanding will do. I got the hose set up. See how hard this is to get off, but it's going to turn this to mud. You know how I feel about that. So I don't know what to think. There's no breeze today. I've been out here about 2 hours. I'm ready to just go home and cry for today. So, I don't know, come back this evening. I should try to paint that, gel that up. See if that'll take that off. I got a little bit left in the bucket. So let me paint that up. And wow, if I was actually going to wet sand this, I'd feel better about pushing this up farther where it's in the grass up there instead of in this dirt driveway. I'm going to just make a mess. All right, this back one to get the primer off. This isn't even wet sand. This is dry sand 150 that I'm using to wet sand just to waste it, because that's what I got. 150 brutal. Spraying the water hose on it. Each spot, getting that off. It's taking a few minutes. It's not that hard. I'm saying it's brutal, but only what's brutal is when the sunshine comes out. But getting it off, that's all looking really good. I'm trying to just work my way across instead of going back and forth and picking spots. So, see what I can get done. All right, I lovingly sanded that off. 20-30 minutes. All the primer off of this. Now, I didn't get these top edges because I couldn't really get in there, and I got to get the bottom edges. Didn't get this back section right here. I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to have to get after it with some more aggressive grit. So, man, that looks bad. But if that's all you got to work with, you're just going to have to paint it. And it's going to have to be what it's going to have to be till I can find, if I can find, and at the right price that I'm willing to pay, and if it's even in better condition. Whole lot of ifs there. So I'm going to move on, lovingly sand the front. All right, 3 hours. I am sick of it. I'm going to call it a morning. Lovingly sanded all that off. Got to the front here. Just getting tired. Making super good progress. I got most of the stuff off the top. This is the lower layers. Got to get over here. That's what I'm working on. Gonna have to get out the electric machine, get this lower area work. This side's pretty bad. Got to get that lower area, that corner. So between the electric sander and wet sanding, I'm gonna get her done. The good news is I don't have to paint nothing. It ain't metal, it's plastic, so I can just quit, walk away. Don't have to worry about it rusting out. So I'm gonna leave this like it is and come back later. All right, I'm trying to resist the temptation of taking all this stuff off, even though I need to. I have lovingly sanded. I got more aggressive. Got all this down with 80 grit, which I'm not happy about. So I'm going to 80 grit. Where is it? These sides, because they have black paint, primer, and some other black. So a couple coats of black, and it is the black, the primer, and then the black. So I'm just trying to take the brown off and leaving the black, because that's leaving some pretty good scratches, so I can come back with the 220. Look at how bad this is, but this looks like maybe it's got silver on it and many layers. So I'm going to take the 80 grit, try to blend this down. I can see that stuff where the maybe the stuff I put on there is taking it clear down to there. So I want to try to do over the edge and the bottom, which is going to be really hard, but I'm going to see what I can do. Look at how far that goes down under there with that piece. Be hard to paint that. Gonna have to lift this up in the air so I can get under there and sand. That's the first I'm seeing that. Fun times.